Former commercial, industrial, and mining sites, once integral parts of West Virginia's economic engine, often create special challenges when it comes to redevelopment.
You'll see them mostly along our big river valleys, the Ohio River Valley, Kanawha River, but we have them all over the state, from the northern panhandle, eastern panhandle, down into the southern coal fields and into the Charleston, Huntington area.
With brownfield sites, real or suspected environmental contamination associated with previous commercial activity, some of it dating back 100 years or more, can scare off potential developers. That's where the DEP's Office of Environmental Remediation and the Voluntary Remediation Program come in.
A lot of times for an old property like this that has contamination concerns, people are afraid to invest their money and redevelop the property because they don't know what kind of liability they're taking on. But by coming through the Voluntary Remediation Program, they actually receive liability relief for themselves and any future owners or occupants of the site.
TS&T Pottery in Chester is one of those sites. A former pottery and dinnerware manufacturer, the plant sat unused and in dilapidated condition for nearly 30 years, causing problems for the community.
It was fenced in, but you had a lot of vandalism, you had a lot of kids playing around in it, and it was a hazard situation. There have been a few fires set in the site. They weren't major, but it gave us an example of what could happen if something more severe would occur, either on the liability for the owners or for the hazardous situation for the general public, and we wanted to eliminate that hazard.
Marvin Six is director of the Business Development Corporation of the Northern Panhandle. BDC purchased the property and has successfully raised over $1 million in grants and low-interest loans to take care of site demolition and preparation for redevelopment. The group has big plans for the site and is actively marketing it to potential buyers.
We incorporated the West Virginia University Landscape Architect Department, and they put together a master plan for us that has multi-use functions on the site, and those range from light industrial to some housing to some commercial and some recreational facilities. It's on the 8-acre site. It seemed like it's a lot to be put on there, but in scale, it works out real well because it has easy access into the community.
Down the river in Glendale, seeing the potential in a nearly century-old manufacturing site is what attracted Warren Distribution to the Voluntary Remediation Program.
US EPA and DEP had discovered that there was some contamination in the groundwater there that was a concern. They did some investigation, but in the meantime, Warren Distribution was looking for a place to put their manufacturing facility. So they came in, entered the Voluntary Remediation Program while they were under construction, and they're using a 250,000 square foot building. They've built a number of tanks both inside the building and outside the building, and they pump products from barges to those tanks, and then they blend them, remanufacture them, and put them into containers that are made there at the facility.
In just 5 years, Warren Distribution has expanded well beyond its original plan to hire 30 to 40 workers. More than 170 associates currently work at the facility. The company has already invested $58 million and hopes to continue to grow its business in Glendale. Besides the obvious benefits to the local economy, the company has generated more than $4.8 million in local and state tax revenue. It's a similar story in Wheeling, where this Lowe's Home Improvement Center anchors neighborhood revitalization efforts in the central part of the city. The 14-acre site is actually 2 adjoining brownfield projects that were once home to a rail yard, steel foundry, and a junkyard. The $18.5 million investment created 175 jobs and has encouraged additional investment by surrounding property owners.
The Lowe's Wheeling project was one of the quickest projects we actually completed, and that was based on the fact that there had already been some assessment. From start to finish, it was only about 6 months.
Finding new uses for these impacted properties takes vision, seeing them as an asset, a resource, and something that can benefit a community for years to come. In Cowan, I'm Brent Kessinger for Environment Matters.